Eat papaya seeds every day for 7 days. And this happens. It's not what you think. Most people who try this give up after a few days and say it didn't work. And they're right. It didn't. But not because the seeds don't work. Because almost no one prepares them correctly. When you prepare them wrong, the most powerful part never activates. When you prepare them right, something specific starts happening inside your gut. And it builds with each passing day. In this video, you'll learn exactly what that is, why it happens, and how to do it the right way from day one. Number 1. The active compound that starts working within the first 24 hours. But only if you don't make this mistake. Here's what makes papaya seeds different from almost any other food at a regular grocery store. And most people who have tried them never actually activated it. That's the part nobody talks about. Your gut may be carrying a quiet burden you don't know about. Low-level parasites are more common in adults than most doctors screen for. They don't make you suddenly sick. They just quietly compete for nutrients, day after day, and irritate your gut lining in ways that get dismissed as just getting older. The active compound in papaya seeds works like a lock that parasites cannot open. It blocks a specific function they need to survive. Without it, they cannot hold on. A clinical study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that a preparation based on papaya seeds cleared intestinal parasites in over 70% of cases. That result held up alongside standard medical treatment in the same study. The same compound also shows early evidence of acting on damaged cells. It signals them to shut down while leaving healthy cells untouched. Researchers are still studying this closely. The findings are early, but specific enough to take seriously. And this is what starts on day 1. But here is the part most people miss entirely. And it is the reason the 7 days either work or don't. One important note before you start. Begin with a small amount. Half a teaspoon of fresh seeds is enough. The compounds are potent. Your digestive system needs time to adjust, especially if that quiet buildup has been going on for a while. The active compound in papaya seeds does something no common food in your diet does. It goes after what may be quietly working against your gut every single day. Have you noticed digestive changes over the past few years that you couldn't quite explain? Bloating, heaviness after meals, or patterns that just feel off? Comment below and share your experience. You are not alone. Now, the second one. This is the reason most people get no result at all, even after a full week. And here's the thing. It has nothing to do with what the seeds contain. It has everything to do with what happens to them before you swallow. Inside every fresh papaya seed, there is a natural enzyme. Think of it as a key. The active compound you just learned about is the lock. When the key works, the compound activates. When the key is gone, the compound never forms. You swallow bitter seeds for 7 days and feel nothing. Heat destroys that key completely. When you cook the seeds, blend them into a hot drink, or mix them into warm food, the enzyme is gone before it ever reaches your gut. Most people who tried papaya seeds in hot tea or a warm smoothie skip the activation step without ever knowing it. Your body cannot replace that key on its own. It has to come from the seed, intact, raw, and fresh. That's it. That's the whole secret. The preparation is simple. Use fresh, raw seeds from a ripe papaya. Chew them slowly or crush them right before eating. Do not heat them. If the bitterness is too strong, crush half a teaspoon and mix it into a tablespoon of fresh lemon or lime juice with a small glass of room-temperature water. The acidity of citrus actually helps the process along. Drink this on an empty stomach in the morning. Dried seeds also work, as long as they were dried at low temperature. Grind them just before use. A small pepper grinder does this perfectly. If your digestion is sensitive, start with a quarter teaspoon. Work up gradually over the first few days. Some people feel mild adjustment early on. That is normal and settles on its own. Get this right from day one, and everything else has a real chance to work. Get it wrong, and none of the rest matters. Number 3 works on a completely different problem. One that becomes especially important by the middle of the week. The first compound goes after what shouldn't be there. Good. But your gut still needs to recover. And that is a different problem entirely. Your gut lining has to rebuild after years of quiet stress. But harmful bacteria do not leave easily. Many of them build a thin protective shell around their colonies, a barrier. Your immune system has a harder time getting through it. Most things you eat just pass right over it. Papaya seeds contain a natural compound that breaks down that shell. It targets the structure holding it together. When the shell is gone, the colony is exposed. Your gut's own defenses can finally reach what they could not before. And recovery has room to begin. Research suggests this compound also calms irritation along the gut lining itself. That may explain why many people notice real improvement in digestive comfort within the first week of using the seeds consistently. Same protocol as before. Fresh, raw seeds, prepared correctly, on an empty stomach in the morning. These two compounds work side by side throughout the week. One goes after what is living in your gut. The other takes away the shelter. One important note: if you take prescription medication, check with your doctor before starting. This type of compound can interact with certain medications, particularly blood thinners. Better to confirm first. 3 compounds, 3 different jobs. And across 7 days of consistent use, they work on the same problem from 3 different angles. Now, beyond the top 3, there are 2 more compounds in the same seeds worth knowing about. By the end of the week, their effect reaches further than your gut. Here's what happens. When your gut carries a quiet burden for a long time, your liver feels it too. It works harder than it should. It filters more. It picks up the slack for what the gut is not handling well. With each day of consistent use, that load begins to ease. Research suggests that a natural compound in papaya seeds helps activate specific pathways in the liver that support its ability to process and clear that extra load. Early studies indicate it may help reduce the kind of silent internal damage that builds up in liver cells over time. The evidence in humans is still developing, but the direction is consistent, and the mechanism makes biological sense. The other compound connects back to the first one, the active compound that goes after parasites. Early laboratory research shows it may also act on damaged cells at a deeper level, beyond the gut. These studies are preliminary, done in lab settings rather than large human trials. But researchers are actively pursuing them, and that tells you something. Neither of these requires anything extra from you. They are in the same seeds. activated by the same preparation. One consistent morning habit, every day of the 7, covers all of it. So what actually happens when you eat papaya seeds correctly for 7 days? Here's the honest answer. Day 1. The active compound starts working on the quiet intestinal burden most adults carry without ever knowing it. Over the first few days, as your body adjusts, a second compound begins breaking down the hiding places that harmful bacteria use to protect themselves. By the middle of the week, your gut lining has less interference and more room to rebuild. And by day 7, the effect has reached further. Your liver is handling a lighter load, and the compounds are still working at a level that continues well beyond the week itself. That is what happens, not a dramatic overnight change. A quiet, cumulative process. The kind your body actually responds to. Simple as that. Half a teaspoon of crushed fresh seeds, lemon juice, room temperature water. Empty stomach in the morning, every day. That is the whole protocol. Consistency is what makes the difference, not a single attempt. 7 days done correctly will show you more than months of doing it wrong. You already had this available every time you bought a papaya. Now you know exactly what to do with it. If this gave you something useful, you are in the right place. This channel exists for people who want to understand what is actually happening inside their body, and what everyday foods can do when you use them correctly. That is what we cover here every week. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss it.